adding figurative language. The purpose of this video is that you will understand how to add figurative language to your own writing in order to improve your reader's understanding of your story. Busy as a bee, slow as a snail, you are my sunshine, I died laughing. Figurative language is actually something we use all the time. You have probably used it quite a bit yourself. It's used to make a point or to convey an idea, and it's language that is not meant to be taken literally. If somebody says you are my sunshine, they're not saying that you are a ball of fire providing heat for our galaxy. They're saying that you brighten their day. And if you say I died laughing, you're making the point that something was hilarious, not that you literally keeled over. There are different types of figurative language, and you've probably heard about these already as you've gone through school. Similes, metaphors, and personification are all comparisons when we compare two unlike things in order to make a point. Hyperbole is an exaggerated statement. That's when you, again, say something you don't mean. The example is, my backpack weighs a ton. You're making the point that your backpack's heavy. It doesn't literally weigh a ton. John Grogan uses a lot of figurative language in his memoir, Marley, a Dog Like No Other, and it really improves his writing. Here's one example. Jenny was trying to brush Marley's teeth in order to get him ready for the movie, The Long Home Run. Let's see what John Grogan uses in this paragraph. On the morning shooting was to begin, I walked out of the bedroom to find Jenny and Marley tangled together. They seemed to be locked in mortal combat, bouncing around the room. She was straddling him like a horse, with her knees tightly hugging his ribs. One hand grasped the end of his choke chain as he bucked and lurched. It was like having a rodeo right in my own living room. John Grogan really helps the reader visualize this scene by making some different comparisons. He said they seemed to be locked in mortal combat. Well, they weren't fighting, but they were definitely wrestling around as Jenny tried to get at his teeth. It says she was straddling him like a horse. Well, I can definitely picture that. That means she's got one leg on either side, like you would sit on a horse with a saddle. And finally, he uses a simile. It was like having a rodeo right in my own living room. I can picture a wild, bucking bronco and the rider desperately hanging on, and that's what he's trying to get us to see. Jenny holding on to Marley, trying to brush his teeth. That figurative language, again, helps us picture the scene, and it also adds humor. Give this paragraph a try. Read this excerpt from Marley, a Dog Like No Other. How is John using figurative language in this example? What is he comparing Marley to? Did you find these comparisons? John Grogan compares Marley in this paragraph to the household garbage disposal, the family's emergency response team. He even calls them old wetback, a nice metaphor there in the last sentence. He uses this figurative language to make the point that Marley will eat anything. He goes after spills, scraps, he'll even suck up wet noodles that are stuck to the floor. This figurative language helps us visualize that. It helps make a point about Marley's huge appetite. And once again, it adds to the lighthearted, humorous tone that John Grogan uses throughout his book. So why do authors use figurative language? Well, they use it to convey something that might be difficult to understand otherwise. It helps the reader visualize the text. It elicits an emotional response from the reader. For instance, John Grogan uses it to be humorous, but it can also be sad or make you angry and so forth. Figurative language definitely makes the writing more interesting, and that's one reason we would like you to use it in your stories. So I'm going to look at my memoir and see if I can find a place where I can add some figurative language. My story is about a bully I faced in middle school on the bus. His name was Philip, and I really want my reader to understand how ugly and hideous he was in my mind. In this paragraph, I tried to describe him to my reader, and I'm going to look and see if figurative language would help me do that. It says, to this day, he's the only person I would ever describe as truly ugly. His black hair was always greasy and slicked to the side with white clumps of dandruff dotting his scalp. His pasty white skin was pocked with zits and acne scars. Braces linked his small, widely spaced teeth below broad pink gums that protruded when he grinned. So, how can I help my reader visualize Philip and how he looked to me? Well, this whole thing about this teeth sticking out and those big gums, that's a little hard to visualize. So, what if I say that his teeth and big pink gums were much like those of a great white shark? I like that figurative language, that simile, because now they can picture how his pink gums would stick out with his above his teeth, and also it kind of gives this idea of menace that he had to me, how he seemed so threatening and scary to me, and that's partly of what made him so unattractive. I think I'm even going to continue that idea that he's like a shark in my next paragraph. I start by saying Philip had found numerous ways to torment me on a daily basis. Well, what if instead of saying Philip, I use figurative language and say this predator? Now, obviously, Philip isn't a predator. He's not a zombie hunting down people to eat them, and he's definitely not a shark. But that use of the word predator, it makes the point that he was vicious, that he seemed to be preying on people that he could hunt down and hurt. And so I like using that figurative language because I think it gives the feeling that I was scared of him, that I felt like he was always trying to hunt me down. So those are two ways that I use figurative language in my writing, and I hope that it's made it more effective. So now it is your turn. Go to your writing, look at your memoir. How can you add some figurative language to your own writing in order to make it more interesting, help your reader visualize it, or to convey something that's difficult to understand? I bet you can do it. It's as easy as pie. Have fun.